Welcome to StateLineRig. Today, we are exploring the wonders of New York. Somewhere in New York right now, a subway rumbles beneath a park where deer used to roam. A torch burns 200 feet above a harbor that once welcomed 12 million strangers, and a waterfall crashes through a gorge older than the state itself. This is not just one place. It's dozens of completely different worlds stitched together into a single state line, from glittering skyscrapers to silent upstate lakes reflecting endless blue sky. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to go, and I'll leave you with a hidden gem so good that even lifelong New Yorkers are surprised by it. Quick challenge before we start. Which New York landmark is nicknamed the Crossroads of the World? Drop your answer in the comments. Then, let's get into it. The harbor that built a nation. We start where millions of American stories technically began, in New York Harbor. Lady Liberty stands here with her torch raised, and she's not just a photo op, she's the first glimpse of freedom that greeted immigrants sailing past on their way to a new life. Hop a ferry from Battery Park, and you'll feel that same approach, the skyline rising behind her like a wall of glass giants, while the harbor breeze cuts across your face. Step onto Liberty Island itself, and you can tour the grounds, walk through the museum, and even stand near the original torch, a piece of history that's both humbling and genuinely inspiring. Climb up to her crown if you can snag a reservation, because the view from up there will genuinely take your breath away. The statue has stood watch over this harbor since 1886, a gift from France that quickly became something far bigger than a monument. And standing at her base, you start to understand why generations of newcomers described her as the first American thing they ever laid eyes on. Just across the water sits Ellis Island, the gateway so many of those newcomers actually stepped through first. Between 1892 and 1954, roughly 12 million people passed through its Great Hall, and walking those same corridors today hits differently once you know that. The Immigration Museum doesn't just show artifacts. It tells you why people left everything behind and what they risked to start over. And a haunting series of life-size portraits by the artist J.R. Manhattan's beating heart. From there, the energy shifts completely. Times Square pulls in roughly 300,000 visitors a day, and once you're standing under those blinding billboards surrounded by Broadway marquees and street performers, you understand why they call it the Crossroads of the World. It's sensory overload in the best way, a place where the city itself feels alive and constantly in motion, where the noise, the lights, and the sheer density of people somehow blend into something oddly exhilarating rather than exhausting. Need a breather? Central Park is just minutes away, and it functions almost like the lungs of the entire city. Rolling lawns, quiet lakes, the graceful curve of Bow Bridge, all of it tucked inside skyscraper walls that somehow feel a world away once you're inside the trees. The scent of fresh grass grounds you even as the towers peek through the leaves overhead, and locals will tell you that a slow walk through the park on a weekday morning is the closest thing Manhattan has to true silence. Then there's the Empire State Building, an Art Deco icon that's watched the city evolve from the Great Depression to today. Ride up to the 86th floor observatory, and the entire skyline spreads out like a living, glittering organism, especially once the sun sets and the building itself becomes a glowing beacon over the city's nightlife. Completed in just over a year during the early 1930s, it held the title of world's tallest building for nearly 4 decades, and even now it remains the single image most people picture when they hear the word skyline. Downtown, the mood turns reflective at One World Trade Center and the 9/11 Memorial. The two memorial pools sit exactly where the Twin Towers once stood, water endlessly falling into an echoing silence that speaks louder than words. Inside the museum, thousands of personal artifacts keep that day's memory alive, from twisted steel beams to voicemails left by those who never made it home. Afterward, the One World Observatory offers sweeping views from over 1,700 feet up, including a glass floor that lets you look straight down at the streets below if you're brave enough to try it. Crossing the river, walk the Brooklyn Bridge next, one of the earliest suspension bridges ever built and still standing strong after more than a century and a half. its Gothic towers and cables framing Manhattan's skyline in a way no photo quite captures. Completed in 1883, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world at the time, and crossing it on foot at sunset remains one of the most iconic walks in the entire country. On the other side, Coney Island brings back old-school boardwalk energy, with its wooden roller coaster, an aquarium full of playful sea lions, and, of course, a stop at Nathan's famous for the hot dog that started it all. The Cyclone has been rattling riders since 1927, and there's something almost comforting about a piece of New York that has refused to modernize, still creaking along the same wooden tracks nearly a century later. Sports fans, don't skip Yankee Stadium, where plaques honor legends like Babe Ruth and Derek Jeter, and the crowd's energy is contagious even before first pitch. Whether or not you follow baseball, standing inside a stadium that's hosted nearly a century of championship history is its own kind of experience. Beyond the city limits, New York State stretches so far beyond the 5 boroughs that most people never even scratch the surface. Head upstate and you'll hit Watkins Glen State Park, which hides 19 waterfalls along a gorge trail with over 800 steps, every one of them worth climbing for the view of Rainbow Falls alone. The trail winds directly behind and beside the falls themselves, so close you can feel the spray on your face, and it's consistently ranked among the most beautiful short hikes in the entire Northeast. Natural drama peaks again at Letchworth State Park, often nicknamed the Grand Canyon of the East for its dramatic cliffs, thundering falls, and even hot air balloon rides over the gorge. The Genesee River carved this 17-mile canyon over thousands of years, and 3 major waterfalls punctuate the drive along its rim, making it one of the most photographed natural landmarks in the state, despite how few out-of-state visitors ever make it there. And back in Manhattan, Grand Central Terminal closes the loop with its painted celestial ceiling and whispering gallery, proof that even a train station here can feel like a work of art. Over a century old, the terminal still moves roughly 750,000 people through its halls on a typical day, and the famous 4-faced clock atop the information booth has become one of the most reliable meeting points in the city. New York isn't one destination, it's dozens of them stacked on top of each other. From a torch in the harbor to a waterfall carved into stone hundreds of miles upstate. From a subway rumbling under Manhattan to a mountain gorge glowing gold in the evening light. And that hidden gem I promised? The Hudson Valley, just a short drive from the city, where rolling hills, vineyards, and small riverside towns offer a version of New York that feels a world away from the skyline, yet it's closer than you'd ever guess. Towns like Cold Spring and Beacon have quietly become weekend favorites for city dwellers looking to trade concrete for orchards without sacrificing a good cup of coffee. If any of these New York spots have you planning a trip, check the description below. We've linked our recommended travel gear and booking deals to help you plan your visit. If this tour gave you a new appreciation for the Empire State, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next journey. Let me know in the comments which stop is going straight on your bucket list. I read every one.